The world price of oil has dropped more than 30% in recent months, giving many economies a needed boost, but driving down profits for oil producers.
Right, and profits have also been down for companies that service oil fields and operations. But as VOA Houston correspondent Greg Flakus tells me, these low oil prices are not expected to last long. Greg, why is it that we're seeing oil prices now at such a low level?
Well, the reason is basic supply and demand. The supply of oil has increased dramatically, largely due to the fracturing and horizontal drilling that was developed here in Texas and is now spread around the country. So North America is producing a lot of oil. Canada as well is producing more oil than it had. So with that increased production here in North America, you also have a decrease in demand worldwide. So those two factors, the supply going up and demand going down, account for much of this current decrease in oil price.
Jim Crane is an energy expert at Rice University.
So the shale production, that's entering the market and pushing other sources of supply, that used to come to the U.S. Away from the U.S., and they're trying to find markets for that.
Crane says weakening economies in China and Europe also are factors driving down demand.
So, Greg, what's been OPEC's role in all of this?
OPEC's role at the moment is rather minimal because OPEC doesn't have the power it used to. In the 1970s, OPEC countries produced something like 60% of the oil that was consumed worldwide. Today, it's more like 35%. So OPEC countries have a minimal impact, but making it even worse is the fact that OPEC countries themselves are divided. Countries like Nigeria and Venezuela, Iran, they would like to produce less oil and bring down or bring up the price rather, so that they could make more money. But a country like Saudi Arabia actually doesn't like that idea. They want to maintain their market share. And most of the Gulf countries, the Arab countries, are in agreement with that. So they want to keep production about where it is.
And Greg, looking at this, how long can we expect these low prices to last?
Well, here you'll get different opinions, but the consensus I've heard so far from people who are knowledgeable about the industry is that this will not be like the 1980s, where you had something like a 10-year drop in oil prices that remained low and hurt a lot of companies and hurt a lot of economies in the oil patch, let's say, the cities that were affected or the cities that were dominated by oil and gas industry. Now, this time, they're expecting it will last maybe a year or two. And even then, you can see some adjustments perhaps happening. Right now, for the immediate future, though, the price is headed downward. And so we don't know how far down it will go. Right now, it's still at a level where, especially the larger companies, an ExxonMobil or a ConocoPhillips, they can still do okay and they can keep production up. But these smaller companies, as I say, some of them will cut back. Some of them may even go out of business. There will be mergers. We've already seen a huge merger take place here in Houston with Halliburton acquiring Baker Hughes. Now, these are oil services companies, but they're also, of course, affected by the slowdown in production and exploration.
So, Greg, then with all these effects that we're already seeing, what could be the long-term ramifications of this?
Long term, you'll see some consolidation in the oil and gas industry. You could also see a setback, maybe a little bit, for some of these alternative energies that cost a lot and which rely a lot on subsidies and that kind of thing. And part of that might be seen as deliberate because a big producer like Saudi Arabia wants to squeeze out this production. The Saudis don't like to hear about alternative sources coming onto market. They want to keep their market share and, make sure their customers keep buying oil from them.
And our thanks, as always, to VOA's Greg Flakus. Of course, this is one of those issues where you've got some people benefiting, some people losing. Some experts are saying oil prices could continue to fall next year if producers don't cut back supply, but that's good news for consumers because it would mean more cuts in gas prices and savings in the billions of dollars for consumers, shippers, and airlines.